In the 1930s, a global economic crisis put tens of millions of people out of work. During what came to be known as the Great Depression, high unemployment not only created shortages of food and clothing, but also caused discouragement among those who could not provide for their families. In the United States, many institutions sought to relieve suffering. One such institution was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, whose members follow Jesus Christ's counsel to lift and strengthen those in need. From the church's beginnings in 1830, church leaders had established many ways to care for others, including storehouses, and through the efforts of the women's organization, the Relief Society. In the late 1800s, the Relief Society started a grain production and storage program to provide for those in need. And by the 1920s, the Relief Society had expanded to include social services, which assessed members' needs and connected them to resources. The presiding bishopric and the Relief Society also created services to help those seeking employment. Yet the needs during the Great Depression were more expansive, with nearly 1 out of every 6 members of the church dependent on government programs for survival. After considerable planning, in 1936, the First Presidency of the Church announced a divinely inspired program that would later be called the Church Welfare Plan. It provided a way for the Church to relieve both the temporal and spiritual suffering of all its members. Its long-term objective was the building of character in members of the Church, both givers and receivers. Under the plan, church leaders and members created sustainable ways for those who received help to work for the assistance they received, while also building their skills. Some helped complete church buildings and public works projects. Others worked on farms or at church canneries, and some worked at Deseret Industries thrift stores selling donated goods. Both the givers and receivers of assistance united in helping one another, embodying Christ's teachings to love their neighbors as themselves. Over the years, the welfare program has adapted to the needs of a changing world. It now offers vocational and rehabilitative training as well as employment services. The church also provides support groups, counseling services for those with behavioral health needs, and training for church leaders who deal with sensitive issues. The program also helps members prepare for emergencies and responds to natural disasters and civil unrest around the world. Its humanitarian arm, known as LDS Charities, partners with governments, nonprofits, and other organizations to respond to the needs of millions throughout the world, regardless of race, religious affiliation, or nationality. Fast offerings and humanitarian aid donations from everyday people fund the church's welfare and humanitarian efforts, and 100% of donations go directly to these programs. The presiding bishopric and General Relief Society presidency continue to provide guidance on how to care for those in greatest need. Since its humble beginnings in 1936, the Church Welfare Program has donated billions of dollars worth of food, commodities, and volunteer service hours to over 189 countries, helping millions of individuals. As in its early days, the Church continues to relieve suffering and empower individuals, families, and communities to provide for themselves and then reach out to help others.